Hello and welcome to this update in response to a previous video that I did called A Problem with Peco Points. Now this problem was quite annoying at the time when it took place, and I had a few problems trying to rectify it, and I did take to YouTube for help and advice on how to rectify it. After receiving many comments from a lot of other YouTubers, I did take in much of the advice. I did manage to resolve the problem, and I'll go into that in this short video. But to start with, I thought I'd just show you some various points that I have still spare here on the layout, just to give you an idea of what I've been using, what I am using at the moment. There are various manufacturers, but being mainly two, Hornby and Peco, that produce track for layouts, and in front of you is a selection of both those two manufacturers. As you'll see, there is not much difference between the two manufacturers. On this side here we have three types produced by Hornby, and here we have 5 different points that I have produced by Peco. We have express points of each side, left hand and right hand. We also have express curves, small points, 3-way points, and also by Hornby we have the same again. Points do get supplied in various lengths, but principally they operate by the same design. Now, there are two main types of difference with the points, either being Hornby or Peco, and that is that we get what's called Insulfrog and Electrofrog. Now, the difference between those two types of points is pretty simple, and it's stated in the name. I'll take this one for example. These are, just before we go any further though, these are all Insulfrog points. I'm not sure, I don't think I have any actually here that are Electrofrog, but I will show you what the difference is, hopefully. Here is the frog on the point, and this is where the title changes. This is an Insulfrog and can be determined by the frog join being plastic and not the rails being the full length of the frog. If the rails are Electrofrog, these will go all the way to the end and there'll be no plastic bit in the middle. That being that the power on this line and the power on this line will be the same. As all layouts operate on a positive and a negative, on this end, well, for example, I always use what's called back to black, and black being negative. Away from me on my layout is the back of my layout, so everything that side of the layout is black. So my live, which are red, are always the ones facing me. So if I was using this on the layout, this would be red, that would be black. Black also being under the term of common. So that would be this line here would be black, this line here would be red at all times. Now obviously trains need to progress along the lines in either direction, so when it's in the straight direction, that top line there would be black, which is common, and the bottom line would be red, positive. So here would be black, it would be common, but that would mean here and here would both be common on an Electrofrog. On an Insulfrog, that would be dead, unless you have power further on up the line or here connected by droppers on a DCC layout. But if we switch in that point to that direction, that would mean that this line would then become red, because the power would be transferred along there under the frog, which I'll switch over, Actually, you can't see it on that particular one, but so I'll find one that is. Here we go. On this one, you'll see there are wires to transfer the power across from here through to here, and vice versa from here to here. Now, Electrofrogs, that has to be dealt with in a certain manner, and this is what is the fix for the problem with the points. So the problem I had wasn't necessarily because it was Peco points. The same problem could arise from Hornby points. The only difference is with Hornby and Peco, this one's a Hornby, this one's a Peco. The frogs on Hornby ones are much bigger, as you can see on the Hornby. On the Peco ones, you'll see that the rails are much closer, separated by only a very, very fine piece of plastic. Now, as the problem was actually with Peco, I wasn't actually having any problems with the Hornby, but it still could happen. I had a situation where, I'll just place that down for a second while I get a set of wheels. Okay, here we go. So the problem I had was, as described on the previous video, was when the wheels were coming along on the locomotives, the flange was fine, but it was the width of the wheel, the gauge, the diameter. If this was too wide, that would be further across. Thus, when it came along, as I stated, it would be positive and negative. That rail would catch just at the point where the frog was, thus in turn shorting out the layout. Many of the advice given by other modelers, there was various different ones. Two that did stick out a lot were applying nail varnish, clear nail varnish over this area, which would stop the transfer of the power from this section to the wheel and vice versa, so then there would be no shorting. But that is only a temporary fix and would have to be reapplied over time due to wear. Another option was literally to cut those rails, which damages the rails permanently then, and I didn't want to do that, just in case I needed to take them off and use them elsewhere on the layout. Now, I had originally had the layout as a DC layout, so I didn't need to worry about this type of shorting, but as I've changed the layout now to DCC, this problem has occurred, and all my layout was fitted with the metal fish plates, which come standard with any piece of track or any points. So they were on and the track was fitted. Fortunately for myself, I did actually need to replace some points, so that made this resolve much easier. But for those of you who have got track down, it's been down for a while, and you don't want to disturb it, makes this fix so much easier. So what we need to be doing is looking at what we're going to do. So we've got the two fish plates on our fixed layout, and we've got a track, and we want to stop this issue of the contact. So the simplest thing I found was to purchase some of these produced by Peco, and these are what are called insulating rail joiners. What they are exactly the same as our metal fish plates, as you can see. I'll just get the other packet because you can see through. As you can see, if I just get them into focus. There we go. They are plastic. And what you need to do is only remove one of these original fish plates, making notes so there's no join actually between this rail and the next piece of track. So we remove that fish plate, and you'll also remove fish plate that would be there. So you basically, your track would end up looking like that. Then we get these. I'll just get some out of the packet. There we go. So these are SL11s produced by Peco, insulating rail joiners for HO and OO, and all of the track says they're suitable for code 100, code 125. I think suitable for code 75 as well. And they are exactly the same. So you just trim out so they're flush, and then, as with the metal ones, just slide them on. Now there is a small piece of plastic in the centre of the fish plate, which is there to stop, and I'll do it as an example, they're there to stop the other rail from making contact with, so it stops contact from there to that other piece of track. Okay. Now if you do something like this, and you say you've got 2 points together like that, what you'll need to do then, in that case, is put insulating rail joiners on both pieces, as they will be onto another point where there's another frog. Also, on the same situation, if you've got points like this, you'll need to put insulating rail joiners on both those, just there, and obviously on the straight run. So that is the solution I made on sorting out my problem with Peco points. As I said, the problem could arise also with Hornby points, but it was purely, in my instance, it was Peco because of the reduced size of the frog. It's not necessarily a bad thing to have the Peco. It's not necessarily a good thing just to have Hornby. The choice is yours. The options are there to purchase whatever you wish. I do like the Peco points due to the lack of plastic on those, so maybe I'll stick with Peco and just use these rail joiners everywhere to stop the frog problem. The other option is, if you, just to say, these are about £2 to £2 for a pack of 12, so it's equivalent enough there for 6 points. Now, as I said, some modelers might be coming across this problem who have already got layouts and their track is already permanently fixed down, and they haven't got the option of being able to lift up the track and replace the rail joiners. So the only alternative there would be to using some form of cutting device, maybe a Dremel or something like that, or equivalent, and literally cut through where the rail joiner is, creating a tiny gap, ensuring that there's still no contact between the two rails. Then you'll have to ensure that the rails do stay perfectly in line. It makes it a little bit more difficult because that rail could move, thus causing some derailments, but that's another matter to deal with. But yeah, putting the nail varnish I think would be the better option for people with already fixed points. So there you go. That is the solution I came up with. The simplest solution I came up with. Thanks to all those that have assisted and given some fabulous advice on rectifying this problem. It's all been greatly appreciated and has assisted in solving the problem for me perfectly. So yeah, that's it. My solution was insulating rail joiners produced by Peco, code number SL11s. Very cheap fix to my problem. So there we go. Thank you very much. I hope all that advice greatly helps you in your problems that you may arise with on the same level. Just one final thing though. These are another kettle of fish as far as I'm concerned, and they are a lot more difficult. Now there is instructions about wiring these up special due to the fact that there are 3 lines. I've not come to the point where I've needed to do this just yet, but I'm speaking from off the top of my head, comparing that you use these as equivalent of 2 points. So it'd be like, that's 1 point, and then on the other side, that's 1 point. So I would suggest, if you're doing this, insulating rail joiner, same again, same again. So those 4 would need rail joiners, all 4 of them. Then ensuring power is maintained by droppers from the other side, from the continuous rails. So I think I'm correct. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. That's it for now. I hope that helps with everything. Let me know about your problems and how you've rectified any problems, and if this actually helps you. It surely has helped me. So until the next video, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.